ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधवृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी नमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Let's chant the verses of Shri Upadeshamrita. Pacho vegam मनसः क्रोधवेगम् जिह्वा वेगम् उदरोपस्थवेगम् एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वामपि मां पृथिवीं सशिष्यात् अत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति उत्साहान्निश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत्कर्म प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्यागात् सतो वृत्तिः षड्भिर्भक्तिर्प्रसिद्ध्यति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम् कृष्णेति यस्य गिरितं मनसा ध्रियेत दीक्षास्ति चेत् प्रणतिभिश्च भजन्तमीशम् शुश्रूषया भजनविज्ञमनन्यमन्या निन्दादिशून्यहित I'm sorry. निन्दादिशून्यहितमीप्सितसङ्गलब्ध्या दृष्टैः स्वभावजनितैर्वपुषश्च दोषेन् न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाङ्घ्रसान्न खलु बुध फेन पङ्केर् ब्रह्म द्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीलधर्मैः स्यात् कृष्णनामचरितादिसिताप्यविद्या पित्तोत्तप्तरसन्न्यस्य न रोचिकानु किन्त्वादरात् अनुदिनं खलु सैव जुष्टा स्वाद्विक्रमात् भवति तद्गतं मूलहन्त्री तन्नामरूपचरितादिसुकीर्तनानु स्मृत्योः क्रमेण रसना मनसि नियोज्य तिष्ठन् व्रजेत तदनुरागि जनानुगामी कालं नयेद् अखिलमित्युपदेशसारम् वैकुण्ठाज्जनितो वरामधुपुरी तत्रापि रासोत्सवात् वृन्दारण्यमुदारपाणिरमणात् तत्रापि गोवर्धनः राधाकुण्डमिहापि गोकुलपते प्रेमामृताप्लावनात् कुर्यात् अस्य विराजतो गिरितटे सेवां विवेकी नकः कर्मिभ्यः परितो हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ययुर्ज्ञानिनस्तेभ्यो ज्ञानविमुक्तभक्तिपरमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्ततः तेभ्यस्ता पशुपालपङ्कजदृशस्ताभ्योऽपि सा राधिका श्रेष्ठा तत्त्वदीयं तदीयसरसि तां नाश्रयेत् कः कृती कृष्णस्योच्चये प्रणयवसतिः प्रेयसीभ्योऽपि राधा कुण्डं चास्यामुनिभिरभितस्तादृगेव व्यधायि यत्प्रेष्यैरप्यलमसुलभं किं पुनर्भक्तिभाजां तत्प्रेमेदं सकृदपि सरः स्नातुराविष्करोति. So we are studying Nectar of Instruction, last class, last two verses, verse 10 and 11. Verse 9 was talking about the hierarchy of places as per their spiritual importance. Now verse 10 will talk about hierarchy of personalities. Hmm. Of course, the purpose of this verse is to highlight the supremacy of the residents of Vrindavan or Vraja, the Vraja Gopis, and also to highlight the supremacy of Srimati Radharani. Hmm. So we know that in this book with 11 verses, the first, second, and third verse talk about controlling the senses and the mind and engaging the senses and the mind in Krishna Seva, right? That's the purpose of having the mind and the senses, that we should engage them in Krishna Seva. That was the purpose. Now, then in verse number 4, 5, 6, we heard about Sangha or association. Hmm. How to associate, with whom to associate, how not to associate, what are the what we should be careful about, offenses, aparadh, that is mentioned. Then in the verse 7, it was mentioned that you become detached from material world and you become attached to Krishna. Hmm. Your mind has to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, detachment and attachment. And then in verse 8, the abhideya, which means the process of entering into Vraja, was explained. It is Raganuga Bhakti. Follow in the footsteps of a resident of Vrindavan. Mhm. And then you serve the Supreme Lord, uh, learning from them. We came to know about external uh, sadhana and internal sadhana. External sadhana is the sadhana done with the body, right? So one should engage in that. And there is internal sadhana. Internal sadhana, which means through the mind, one is following the eternal associate of the Supreme Lord. Siddha Deha, Sadhak Deha, right? We give example how, uh, let's say, Rup Goswami is the perfected personality, and his eternal Swarupa is Rupa Manjari. So one who is a servant of Rupa Goswami will externally do the sadhana the way Rupa Goswami taught and will serve the Supreme Lord Sri Radha Krishna internally in the mood as of Rupa Manjari. Hmm. So this is how we understood the um, subject matter. Now then, uh, verse 9 talks about Vrindavan of Vraja. And then now verse 10 is going to talk about mm, the personality who rules over Vrindavan or Vraja, which is Srimati Radha, right? All kinds of people. So Rup Goswami begins with the lowest kind of people, human beings, and then it goes to the highest personality who should be followed. This verse is Karmibhya parito hare priyataya vyakting yayorgyaninas tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishthastatah तेभ्यस्तापशुपाल पंकजदृशस् ताभ्योऽपि साराधिका प्रेष्ठा तद्वदीयं तदीयसरसि तान्नाश्रयेत् कः कृति. Translation. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. So most of the people are of which category? Most of the people are karmis, right? Below karmis, there is vikarmi, but we start with karmis here. And of the karmis, there is someone who knows about the purpose of life. That person is known as Jnani, who has some knowledge of the soul, who knows that there is a soul, and I should be catering to the needs of the soul as well. That's called Jnani. Just to know that there is a soul is not sufficient. One should also know that I have to do something for the soul. I don't have to just do things for the body. That's Jnani. Mhm. So that person is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Next, out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. So then, of those Jnanis, one who has become free from material desires and who understands that I am an insignificant part and parcel of the Supreme Lord may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. So, of those who engage in devotional service, there is someone who has prema, love for the Lord, pure love for the Lord. That person is superior, right? And then there is amongst those devotees who has prema, the gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Mhm. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kunda and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhava, render loving service to the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, the eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. So, the hierarchy of personalities mentioned here are first, Karmi, then Jnani, third, Jnana Vimuktaha, Jnana Muktaha, we can say, a liberated Jnani, fourth, devotee, fifth, advanced devotee who has Krishna Prema, sixth, the gopis of Vrindavan, Vraja, and then last, Srimati Radharani, right? And who are fortunate people? Those who serve Radha Krishna on the banks of Radha Kunda. So Prabhupada will explain about each type of these personalities and slowly in the purport take us to the highest personality. Right? So he begins with karmis, the subject of karmis in the purport. At the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis, hmm, or fruitive workers. So basically, if you look at this definition, it includes most of the human population, right? Right. All living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. This is described in the Vishnu Purana. Vishnu Shaktihi Para Prokta Kshetragyakhyatata Para Avidya Karma Samgyanya Tritiya Shakti Ishyate. Sages have divided the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into three categories, namely the spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material energy. The material energy is uh, considered to be the third class energy, Tritiya Shakti. Those living beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification. However, in this life or after executing pious activities in the next life, some karmis become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. As mentioned in Bhagavad-gita 9.21, Shine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. After exhausting the results of their so-called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Martya Loka, the place of death. Although such persons may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the results of their pious activities are exhausted. This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. Next paragraph, Ashokanesha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dambar Pranam. Prabhuji, before I start this, in these two shlokas, aprakritya word is mentioned frequently. So, in this context, to understand what does that aprakritya mean?
Prakrit means material. Aprakrit means not material, spiritual.
Aprakritya bhava means material things.
Please hear attentively. Now, why don't you hear properly? Prakrit means material. Prakrit means material. Aprakrit means opposite to material, which is spiritual.
Okay, fine.
And
This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn more money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without the guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basic basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary systems. Such karmis are superior to the vikarmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Vedas and are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastathaiva bhajamye aham. In whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfilled the desires of the karmis and jnanis, not to speak of the bhaktas. Although the karmis are sometimes elevated to higher planetary systems, as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Thus, those fruitive actors who do not care for the Vedic directions, Vikarmis, are not appreciated by learned saintly persons, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 554. Nunam pramatta kurute vikram yadindriya pratye apnoti na sadhu manne yat atmano ayam ma asannapi kaleshad asadeha. Materialists who work hard like dogs and hogs simply for sense gratification are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Materialistic activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man, for as a result of such activities, one gets a material body which is full of misery. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruity workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they must spend the major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable positions, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as prabhava, their defeat. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.5 Prarabsas Tavad Abodh Dato. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada explains the consequence of taking the path of karma. Of course, here you see, when he uses the word karmi, that word karmi can have two subcategories. One is karmi and the other is vikarmi. Hmm? He combines them together and uses the word karma. Vikarmis are those who are acting against the Vedic injunctions and earning money through dishonest means, impious activities, sinful activities. Hmm? And then the karmis are those who may be little pious in nature. But then Prabhupada explains, amongst both for both of them, there is ruination in life. Because the karmis, they'll go to heaven, but then they'll degrade back to human form of life on planet Earth. And with karmis, they will suffer, they'll take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Hmm. Well, so this is much described subject matter by Srila Prabhupada. You might have noticed that whenever Srila Prabhupada gets a chance, he elaborates in detail about the current materialistic lifestyle of people, the lifestyle of running behind sense gratification. Because most of the population is affected by such kind of lifestyle, isn't it? So it's giving more importance on that particular subject matter. Hmm. Though the verse is talking about the highest position of Srimati Radharani, and the verse is talking about Radha Kund, you will notice that Prabhupada hardly touches upon that subject matter in the purport. His purport is mostly dedicated to karmis and vikarmis, right? Because that's what the audience needs. The audience is still very much living life like animals, and therefore they have to be told this knowledge or information again and again, again and again, again and again, so that they come to senses. Mm. They come to senses and realize that the purpose of life is not to just earn money, have nice house, have big cars, have honorable positions. That's not what life is for. Mm. And then there will be frustration only after all at the end. Yesterday, I met a devotee in BIHE and I was just talking to him. He was a student last year studying Bhakti-sastri, and now he's doing some seva in the institute. So I asked him that how did you learn in Vrindavan and in Krishna consciousness? He told me he belonged to a Rajput family. Rajputs. They had a lot of property. He himself had a lot of property, had his own house, cars, was earning, had factories of crores value. Then, he got married, and then suddenly there were problems in life. During COVID time, he lost his job. So when he lost his job, uh, after few months, he came across devotees in iskcon. He thought, I mean, life is full of trouble. Let me do some bhakti. I'll get some mental peace. Started chanting the holy name. He left non-vegetarian food. So then his family got irritated that you're not working, you're simply chanting God's names, you're also not following our lifestyle. He had grown-up kids, two boys, and then he got to his job again. Meanwhile, his wife, who was a housewife for it was like 20 years or 18 years, she also started working. And then he said he got a job, and after some time he lost that job again. So he was sitting idle at home for 2 months. His family stopped giving him food. Yeah. That you are not earning, so you are not also eligible to eat. Mm. And one night, his family threw him out of the house. You are a useless fellow. Mm. Now he was like, what should I do? So because he came to iskcon, he had some connection with iskcon. He was chanting Hare Krishna. A thought came in his mind. If I am supposed to die, let me go to Vrindavan and die. It will be nice to die in Vrindavan. So he was standing on the road, almost midnight, waiting for a car to drop him to Vrindavan. And one car came, an eco van, and the driver stopped and told this devotee, can you tell me which direction is Agra? So I don't know, I have to go to Agra. So can you please tell me the direction? So this devotee said, take me to, Vrindavan. I'll then make sure you reach Agra. If you want, I can also drive the car for you. Said, no, 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 no problem. You sit with us and we'll take you. So that devotee came to Vrindavan. And then after he came to Vrindavan, he thought, what should I do? There's no purpose in life. I don't have money. So he started living in different ashramas, eating food here, eating food there, like that. So he was telling, I was actually in depression. I was quite depressed. I lost money, I lost my everything, and my family is also so materialistic, so they also did not support me in any way. So after eating prasadam at different ashrams and living in Vrindavan, he was sleeping on the street. next to the street because I have no home. No, he was just lying on the ground anywhere he would get place to sleep. Said, in 1 month, my mind changed, and suddenly I started feeling a lot of strength. So he then realized that this is the potency of Dham. Dham has given me so much of inner strength. I was thinking, why am I sleeping on the street? I was a crorepati. There was a time when I was having crores, and I was sleeping on the street's corner. What is this happening in my life? I should do something nice in life. I'm not yet very old. It's just 47 years old. I mean, not that old, 47. It's not that 60, 70. So then Krishna gave him intelligence. Don't go to different ashrams, just go stay in one ashram. Then he came to one ashram. He started living there, eating prasadam 2 times a day. Then some voice came from inside, why are you eating for free? Do some seva also. Then he started doing seva. Hmm. Then one man noticed him that he is quite resourceful. He seems to be coming from good family. Maybe it's bad time is there in life. So he told, do you know much about Vrindavan? He said, I know everything about Vrindavan. I've eaten everywhere, I've slept everywhere, I know everything about Vrindavan. So he said, I have a group of people who wants to come to Vrindavan, around 150 people. Will you arrange for their accommodation and prasadam and will you take us on tour across Vrindavan? He said, no problem. So then he started doing that seva and then said, after so many months, I made an earning. I earned 4,000 rupees. So then I got some confidence that life is not that bad. I can live like this. And then he started serving and then slowly he came into iskcon temple. Then last year he did Bhakti-sastri. Now he's serving in VIG. Hmm. So, Prabhupada, what is it telling here? Working so hard and finally what he experienced in life? Defeat. Almost he died. Almost he died on the street. That's how karmi life is. Almost died. But then because he was fortunate, Krishna saved him. Vrindavan saved him. And then he landed in a good place. Now he's happy serving devotees, doing Krishna consciousness. Right? So that's how karmi life is. Life just for sense gratification, earning money and trying to satisfy yourself or people around you and not having a higher goal in life. Hmm? It leads to defeat. It leads to defeat. Parabhava. Next paragraph. One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul. Sridhi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Kundav Pranam. One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul, Atma Tattva. Unless one comes to the platform of Atma Tattva, by which one understands that the soul and the body is one self, and not the body is one self, one remains on the platform of ignorance. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply by gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called a jnani. The jnani knows that fruitive activities will bind him to material existence and cause him to transmigrate from one kind of body to another. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam by the term Sharira Bandha, bound to bodily existence. As long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, his mind will be absorbed in karma, fruitive activity, and this will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Thus, a jnani is considered superior to a karmi because he at least refrains from the blind activities of sense enjoyment. This is the verdict of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a jnani may be liberated from the ignorance of the karmis, unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, he is still considered to be in ignorance, avidya. Although one may be accepted as a jnani or one advanced in knowledge, his knowledge is considered impure because he has no information of devotional service and thus neglects the direct worship of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a jnani takes to devotional service, he rapidly becomes superior to an ordinary jnani. Such an advanced person is described as jnana vimukta bhakti parama. How a jnani takes to devotional service is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan ma prapadyate vasudevah sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Actually, a person is wise when he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, but such a Mahatma, great soul, is very rare. After taking to devotional service under regulative principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Sanak and Sanatan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then recognizes him to be superior. The devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in an exalted position.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Bhagavad.
So then there is transition from karmi life to jnani life. That's what happened with this devotee. He was living like a karmi before. Then he got a transition. Life is not about this. Some knowledge came. Hmm. But then there are people who just then remain dry jnanis. Dry jnanis means they don't have proper understanding. An example of such a jnani is IIT Baba, right? So they got frustrated from life and then suddenly they take to the path of so-called half-baked spiritual knowledge. So jnanis. So there are some jnanis like that. But then of those jnanis, there are those who are fortunate, come across devotional service. Hmm. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam pratyate. Right? Hmm. Jnana vimukta bhakti parama. And then in the path of bhakti, they may take to Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So they may follow in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada, Sanaka, Sanatana, etc. And then they may follow these devotees and then they may attain prema, which is born of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. There is prema obtained through Vaidhi sadhana bhakti also, right? We study that in Madhurya Kalamni, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That one can get prema. Narada is a premi bhakta. Sanaka and Sanatana are also premi bhaktas. But then their prema is born out of Vaidhi sadhana. So then one may take to Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. But then superior to Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Mhm. So one may take to then Raganuga sadhana bhakti. And that's what brings us to the next paragraph. Mhm. The epitome of Raga Bhakti are the gopis of Raja. Mhm.
Prabhuji, Jnana Vimukta Bhakti, can you slightly explain?
Jnana Vimukta,
Bhakti Parama.
Jnana Vimukta Bhakti means bhakti which is free from jnana.
It is the next stage of Jnani.
Yeah. A jnani who is liberated and who has taken to devotions.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So generally what happens is those who are karmis, you'll find them worship Durga. Those who are jnanis, you'll find them worship Shiva. Mhm. Lord Shiva. They have some gyan. There is some gyan. Not complete, but there is some gyan. So they take to little bit of renunciation, austerity. They are followers of Shiva, right? And then when they enter into the realm of bhakti, then they will start worshipping Vishnu or Lord Ramachandra or Lord Krishna. These personalities, these deities. right? That's how there is evolution. Mm. When they are karma kandis, then they worship lower demigods like Indra, Chandra. Next paragraph. Anjali Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Prabhuji, I will read from, sorry, Prabhuji.
To read from where the devotee stopped.
Sir, Prabhuji,
Of all the devotees. Para starting from of all these devotees.
yeah, Prabhuji. Of all these devotees, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna, nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became most dejected and spent the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. This means that, in one sense, they were never actually separated from Krishna. There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Rather, Vipralambha Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation, as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are the most exalted, and out of all these exalted gopis, Shrimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Shrimati Radharani. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Shrimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings.
Thank you.
In this way,
Thank you. Thank you. So of all these devotees, the gopis are recognized as superior. Why? Because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna. Which means ananyata, exclusivity is too much in them. They're too focused. Only Krishna and only serving Krishna. Right? They're very focused. Nothing other than Krishna. Right? No other form of Godhead also attracts them. They're, so that's why, because of their concentrated, focused, exclusive love for Krishna and attraction towards Krishna, they are considered as superior. And at the same time, they don't expect anything from Krishna. They don't want anything in return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. But still, they don't want to leave Krishna and start worshipping someone else. So that is their level of love for Krishna. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became most dejected and spent the rest of their lives crying in separation from Krishna. That is Vipralamba Bhav. This means that in one sense they were never actually separated from Krishna. There's no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Hmm. Rather, Vipralamba Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Hmm. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are most exalted. So, this is the mood actually, right? The form is important, but the mood is what makes that form. Um, Someone may just be attracted to the form of a gopi and may want or may desire that I also want to serve Krishna in this manner. But instead of being so much attracted just to the form, first of all, let us try to understand the moods of the service that gopis have. Hmm. What is their seva bhav? That's very important. Uh, we know now because we have studied so many books and we know little philosophy. We understand that form is basically a manifestation of what is inside you, in your heart. Just like yesterday itself we read, isn't it? What you contemplate upon, that creates your subtle body. And then the subtle body becomes a blueprint for the gross body, isn't it? So form is basically a product of my consciousness. So people may have a very sentimental attraction towards the form of a gopi. Oh, how nice it will be if I can be in a gopi, the form of a gopi. But we have to understand that form exists with that particular personality because of the mood of that personality to serve Krishna in a particular manner. Mhm. Isn't it? So we have to focus more on the seva bhav rather than just the fantasy of becoming a gopi or becoming a gopa or becoming a vrajavasi, right? Rather than we have to understand the seva bhav of a vrajavasi. How do vrajavasis think? How do vrajavasis behave? How do vrajavasis talk? How do vrajavasis feel towards Krishna and towards other devotees of Krishna, right? So that is the subject matter of constant meditation. How should we serve devotees? Now, what is that bhav of our Rajavasi? Fine. So this is something which has to be understood. So the gopis, they have this bhav. Ananyata is there. Ananyata. They don't get distracted. They don't get deviated. They're very focused. Mhm. And that same Ananyata we find was in Srila Prabhupada towards the mission of his Guru Maharaj. He didn't get distracted. He didn't get, a person can have so many things to do in life, but he was very focused, right? That Ananyata was in all our previous acharyas, very focused. Um, so that is a product of mm, that bhav, that mood of seva. Very focused, knows what we are doing, knows to know what we are doing, to know where we are going, right? So this is important. That mood has to be understood and applied. If we have understood that mood and we apply that mood, then we become a Brajvasi. Even if we are living in Africa, we are living in Australia, we're living in America, we are living in any other country, any other part of the world. If we apply that mood and practice that mood, we become a Brajvasi, right? Or a resident of Vrindavan, resident of Braj. So, next paragraph. In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami gradually concludes that Srimati Radharani is the most exalted devotee of Krishna, and that her Kunda lake, Sri Radha Kunda, is the most exalted place. This is verified in a quotation from Lagu Bhagavatamrita, as quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu Tasyaha Kundam Priyam Tatha Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. It's a very nice verse. We can memorize this verse. Whenever we go to Radha Kund, we should chant this verse mm, mm, to to remind ourselves that what is the glory of this holy place. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnos Tasyaha Kundam Yatha. Just like Srimati Radharani is dear to Vishnu or Krishna, this Kunda is also very dear to Krishna, equally dear to Krishna. Sarva Gopeshu Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. Among all the gopis, she is the most dear. She stands supreme. Hmm. Fine. That's the translation of this verse. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radha Kunda and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in the 10th verse of Upadeshamaya. Any questions before we go to text level?
Yes, Prabhuji, how to really take shelter? I mean,
Of what?
what is the process?
Of what?
Shelter
Okay.
of Radharani, Radha Kund.
The process is
Karmis, how do they reach that state?
how will they reach that state? You don't know? How will they reach that state? Can they reach that state immediately?
No, by Vaidhi
Yes.
sadhana bhakti,
So
gradually.
the stages are already mentioned, right? From Karmi they'll come to Jnani, then from Jnani they'll come to Bhakti, then they to Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, then from Vaidhi sadhana bhakti to Raganuga sadhana bhakti. So how will a Karmi take shelter of Radharani? A Karmi cannot take shelter of Radharani. Isn't it? That is not possible. That's why, I mean, some people are so foolish. They think anyone can come and take shelter of Radharani. But how is it so? It's not possible, no. The scriptures are giving a qualification to take shelter of Radharani. Yes, Radharani is very merciful, but Radharani is not that readily available. This is what sometimes some people or sadhus don't understand. They are so publicly broadcasting Radharani's glories, but Radharani is not publicly available. She is a rare jewel. So she is available for Paramahamsas, not for karmis and vikarmis or jnanis, right? So foolish people broadcast the glories of Radharani publicly. She is not for public. She is for great personalities, great souls. Who is for public? Gaurang Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is for public, right? He is for public. So, and those who are knowledgeable, really sadhus who know what does Krishna want, what does Radharani want, they will publicly only glorify Sri Chaitanya. They'll never publicly speak so much about Radharani. They will only publicly glorify Sri Chaitanya. Because Sri Chaitanya is for public. Radharani is not for public. Radharani is for great personalities, Paramahamsas. Isn't it? How do we know that? We know that because in this verse, Upadeshamrita Arup Goswami is starting with Vacho Vegam, Manasah Krodha Vegam. First of all, at least control your mind and senses, become a Goswami, then you can talk about Srimati Radharani or hear about Srimati Radharani. He is setting that criterion, isn't it? So this is how people make something very special, very cheap. Radha is special, very special. Therefore, she is hidden in the heart of great personalities, right? And that bhav of Radharani, that merciful bhav, that very magnanimous bhav, that bhav has come in the form of Sri Chaitanya, isn't it? So those who are intelligent people, they will publicly glorify Sri Chaitanya, Gaur Nitaya. Hmm. Radharani is then called. Hmm. Fine. So Adhikar is to be seen, no? Adhikar. Adhikar, one should have adhikar. Translation. Next
Hare
verse.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry, bro. So one question regarding the last words. Srila Prabhupada says that everyone who is interested in Krishna consciousness should take shelter of Radha Kund and execute their devotional service there in Radha Kund throughout their life,
Yeah.
right? But we have listened to the lecture and we understand that only a person should be qualified to even reside at Radha Kund.
So Prabhupada is
Hmm.
mentioning that, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that because uh, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that uh, in a very general sense, but we should know that the scripture itself where Prabhupada is mentioning is very progressive, right? So one has to know whom is it Srila Prabhupada mentioning for? Whom is it mentioning for? Like you have come to the study of the scripture to this level. Now, study doesn't just mean academic reading. Study means okay, you are applying and then gradually you're evolving and evolving and evolving and evolving, and then you have come to this level. Now, if you have come to this level, then all those who are at this level, they should take shelter of Radha Kund. Yeah. It's not for someone who is struggling to even give up eating meat or alcohol, and that person should take shelter of Radha Kund. No, Radha Kund is not for such a person. No. Someone who has come to this level should take shelter of Shiva, Radha Kund. And that again means not reside there physically. That means in your internal meditation, you take shelter of Radha Kund. So if, let's say, Prabhupada gave this instruction, all the devotees of Krishna consciousness should take shelter of Radha Kund. What is the process of taking shelter? Meditate. Who can meditate? Someone whose mind is not controlled can meditate. So that statement, that application of instruction itself requires a heavy qualification, right? Who can meditate? One whose mind is controlled. So now how many people's mind are controlled? That itself disqualifies us, isn't it? Or anyone. Therefore, when we even visit Radhakund, we should visit with an aspiration uh, that someday we will become qualified to enter into this place. That should be the aspiration of visiting Radhakund physically, taking darshan, doing parikrama. It's like going there to make an appeal. Going there to make an appeal that, "Oh, Radharani, someday, if I am fortunate, please allow me entrance into this place." And that's what we should be doing even mentally if we are interested. I mean, if we are interested in that direction. That's what appeal we have to be making mentally. That please let me enter into Vraja. Please let me enter into Vraja. Um, People, I mean, that's what no, everyone is making it so simple and easy. There are sadhus are like, come to Vrindavan, take shelter of Radharani. This is not the way to take shelter of Radharani, right? You have to be internally crying and crying and crying that Radharani, please let me in, please let me in. I want to come to Braja. I want to enter into Braja. So that requires meditation, internal meditation, and people are making it so easy. Buy a plot here, become a Vrajvasi. Pay 2 crores and become a Vrajvasi. No. That's not how you become a Vrajvasi, right? Mhm. Even if, let's say, even if my spiritual master is a Vrajvasi, I can't become a Vrajvasi just because I am his or her disciple. I have to also cultivate that mood of a Vrajvasi, then I can become a Vrajvasi, right? The Guru can teach me to cultivate that mood, but the Guru cannot just give me entry into Vraja. The Guru can help me. That is possible for the Guru. Can help me, can do little sifarish, can do little, plea on my behalf to Radharani that please help this fellow or please help this conditioned soul. But I should internally, as a candidate, have those feelings or those desires. So this is something that has to be cultivated. And this is something which is a deep subject matter actually. We devotees practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes we are so obsessed with the external problems going on in our life, we forget the goal is something different. Institutional fights, petty issues, we are just into that. Who will become the president? Who will become the next guru? Who will become the GBC? Who will lead this project? Who will handle 10 projects, 100 projects, 1,000 projects? Who will deliver India? Who will deliver America? Who will deliver Australia? And there are so many things into which, people get into. And so busy in the external realm that we forget that there is also an internal realm where we have to advance in Krishna consciousness. So books like Updeshamrit are like eye openers for those who are serious in Krishna consciousness. We have to advance externally, but we also have to advance internally. And too many people, they get lost in external advancement and forget the goal of internal advancement. And so two parallel things are there. Hmm. Next verse. Krishnasyochai pranayavasatihi preyasibhyo Kundam chasyamudhirabhitastadrig eva vyathahi yat preshcherapyalamasulavam kim punar bhakti bhaja tat premevang sakridapi sarahas natur avishkaroti. Of the many objects of favored delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Rajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kund is very rarely attained, even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. You see, here it's mentioned by Rupa so clearly. It's difficult to attain even by great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within these holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So then, here the point is made, one should bathe oneself in this water. Again, we are so gross in our consciousness. We think bathing means go there, wear a gamcha, jump into the water, and that's bathing, right? That's not the bathing that is being spoken about. Bathing means you immerse your consciousness in the spirit of seva. That's called bathing. He said you bathe yourself in Radha Kund. Simply bathe once within these holy waters. So bathe what? Because we are in body consciousness. Bathe the body. But Rup Goswami is talking about bathing the body. No, Rup Goswami is talking about bathing the soul. Bathe the soul in the pure waters of Radha Kund.
Soul
Hmm.
from consciousness.
Huh?
Soul, consciousness.
Yeah, bathe the soul, bathe the consciousness in Radha Kund. And then you get Krishna Prem. Mm. But then again, because we are very gross in our mentality, we think we'll just bathe physically and we'll get Krishna Prem. So I said people come no in in thousands they come on the day of Radha Kund appearance day, thinking that you bathe here and then you get Krishna prem. And while they bathe there, they slap 10, 15 people while bathing, and they think that you'll get Radha Krishna prem. So, but even if we approach Radha Kund, we have to be so sober in our mind, right? Even if we bathe in Radha Kund, also that we should do by the permission of our superior spiritual teacher or guru. Then also we should bathe in a very sober manner, right? In a very thoughtful manner. That I am going for a tirtha. I'm going for a very special and what do you call spiritual ceremony. Faith in that way. Like it's like preparing yourself for that day. It's a big day. It's a big day. Uh, So one has to be very careful. Some people use this shloka, or Rup Goswami said, bathe in Radha Kund, so anyone can bathe in Radha Kund. No, it's not like that, no. This verse is the last verse in Upadeshamrit. He started with Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. That means you first control your mind and senses. So we go to Radha Kund and we bathe in Radha Kund by bowing down to it, praying to it, taking achman. In scripture, it is said achman is also like bathing. You do achman, that is also considered as a bath. So you do achman. You properly respect that holy place. Hmm. That's the bathing we do. So we have to learn to respect Radha Kund. And then we learn to respect to Radha Kund, and Radha Kund will show mercy to us. So Prabhupada explains, why is Radha Kund so exalted? The lake Shamalari Pradamataji, first paragraph, read please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanad Pranam Prabhu. Why is Radha Kund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake Sri Radhakunda is also described by great sages as the lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radhakunda and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radhakund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional service, not to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis. If the one takes a bath in Radhakunda, Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radhakunda, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is a most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection that Sri Radhakunda is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service. In the wake of the lady friends, Sakis, and confidential serving maids, Manjaris of Srimati Radharani, living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God, Goloka Vrindavana, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha Deha, should live at Radha Kunda. Take shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method for those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narada and Sanaka do not get an opportunity to come to Radhakunda to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radha Kund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna, exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radha Kunda and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as the contemplated during his life on the banks of Radhakunda. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of the Radhakund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for the sages and devotees like Narada. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radha Kunda. By serving Radha Kund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So how it happens is, you see, of course, we are no one to be practicing it or meditating upon it, but still, it's nice to know that these things are not that cheap, not that easy, and it's all based on mercy, your qualification and mercy of the Lord. Prabhupada mentioned very clearly, if you are qualified, first of all, one has to be qualified. Then you go to Radhakund and you bathe there, and then you live there, right? And then you live there to serve Radhakund. So you are living in Radhakund, you have a very pure mind, your consciousness is pure, you are free from all material desires, you are doing nice sadhana, you are a Vaishnava of impeccable character, and then you are serving there at Sri Radhakund. So what will happen? Radhakund is a place where Srimati Radharani is coming and going, Krishna is coming and going, Radharani's gopis are coming and going, the manjaris are coming and going. Everything is happening in the present. So try to understand, everything is happening in the present. The Nitya Leela is still going on. It's not visible to us. We cannot observe it, but it is going on. So they are coming and going. And you are there performing sadhana. And so one day, some Manjari may observe you. Oh, every day this Babaji or this Goswami or this Vaishnavi does some seva in Radhakund. Uh, she or he is of very pure character, very pure heart. And what is going on in the mind of this Vaishnava? He or she wants to serve Radharani. He wants to become a servant of Radharani. So some Manjari may see you, may have their sight fall upon you. That Manjari may be anyone, not necessarily a Diksha Guru. Maybe anyone. Anyone, any devotee they may observe you. And then the devotee may do a sifarish, may do some kind of, uh, kind of some praise for you to Radharani or to a assistant of Radharani or to Lalita Sakya or to Rupa Manjari. I see this Vaishnava. He seems to be a follower of Srila Prabhupada, disciple of XYZ Goswami. A very nice Vaishnava, serving here in Radhakund. He or she wants to be your servant, Radharani. Can we allow him? Can we allow? And then, Radharani will say, okay, we will observe, we'll wait, we'll see. No, no, she has it in her mind. Oh, there is someone, a good candidate has come. Oh. And then someday she may tell Lalita Sakhi, Lalita, I want someone to fetch me some madri flowers. Can you get someone? And then Lalita will tell, let's say, Rupa Manjari. And then Rupa Manjari may think, oh, I came to know about that Vaishnava living on Radhakund, and he is such a nice Vaishnava. Why not give this seva to that Vaishnava? Lo, you got a chance. And then they may come. and they may somehow other, attract you and give you that seva, you know. And then slowly, slowly the journey begins. You may be given a, you may be given a spiritual form. Immediately you start to realize what is your Siddha Rupa, Siddha Swarup, Siddha Deha. So this way, so many ways a devotee may enter into one's final constitutional position and then enter into Krishna's Leela to serve Krishna. Yeah. So many ways. Mm. So Prabhupada is telling here, revealing here that how can someone residing in Radha Kund may get entrance into the service of Srimati Radharani, right? But everything will happen through the channel of the mercy of the Parampara, the spiritual master, the Parampara. Uh, it's not necessary that spiritual master may be directly involved, but of course the spiritual master is involved because because if you are a disciple of XYZ, then there will be a question: how good is this disciple? Good, nice. Can we take him in? You know, is it is it okay? Hmm. Like when you do recruitment, you ask, right? Is he a good man, a good person? Can we recruit? Hmm. So that time the spiritual master has to say, yes, Radharani, I trust this person. Yes, we can take it. We can take it. Right? So then one may get entrance into the service of Krishna and Radha in eternal pastimes. So one has to do a lot. The point is, one has to do a lot to get to that stage. One has to present oneself. I mentioned this point before also. That seva is there, mercy is there, but we have to make ourselves available. Yeah. Absolutely. We have to make ourselves available. Just like you go for a job, there is an opportunity, and then thousands of people stand in the queue. I'm available. I'm available. Give me a chance. Give me a chance. It's like you are begging. Give me a job. Give me a job. I'm available. I'm qualified. Similarly, to enter into Krishna's pastimes, to serve Krishna, you have to beg Krishna, I'm available. Give me a job. Give me a job. I'm available. I'm trying. I'm waiting for a job. It's a chance to serve, a chance to serve, a chance to serve. Give me a job. Then Prabhupada mentions, right? One may then be blessed by the Lord, and one can get an opportunity. What is the lines? What is the last line? By serving Radha Kund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the. So everything is basically a cultivation. It's not a one day thing or a one moment achievement. It's a cultivation. It's a cultivation. One has to cultivate. Okay, so we stop here. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, may I?
One at a time. Paramgati Prabhu.
Okay. So Prabhuji, we see that Radha Kund is being talked about as a as a personality, right? I mean, the way it is glorified and everything, not just a place, but a personality, right? So is Radha Kund, I mean, I've heard Srimati Radharani's,
Timing DT.
yes, of predominating deity of Radha Kund, but then I've also heard that it's uh, a personality which is born out of the love of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, as told by Vishnu Chakri Thakur. So exactly what? So how do we you know uh, pray to Radha Kund, and what do we meditate upon in that sense?
Very, very nice question, Prabhu. It's simple to understand that everything in the spiritual world, even if it is a sentiment, that sentiment has a personality, right? Because everything is conscious there. Whether we are talking about a thought, a feeling, an object, Everything is an entity, a conscious entity, right? So that love of Radha and Krishna is also an entity. So that entity is mostly a Devi because it's a Shakti. So we have to meditate on Radha Kund as a Devi, as a personality, as you said, as a Devi. Just like you go to a river, so you see that river as a Devi, Ganga Devi, Yamuna Devi. Similarly, that Kund is also a Devi. Mhm. And what is that Devi? She is the personification of that love of Radha and Krishna. That Devi has a body, and that body is that water. Mhm. And because why it is called Radha? Because that thing has come from Radha. So same Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, Achintya Bheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. So if there is a Devi coming from Radha, that Devi is in one sense not different from Radha because she has come from Radha. But then there is a personality. And that's true for anything, any emotion of Krishna, any bhav of Krishna, that is also a personality. So Radha Kund has to be a personality. Everything in spiritual sense is conscious with the form, with the personality, with the mood. Yes, yes, true. Any other question? Nehal Mataji, you had a
Hare
question, right?
Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I'll share you an experience, please.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhuji, there were some Vaishnavas, uh, and they went for a parikrama. But Prabhuji, in that parikrama, out of around 20, 30, 40, only two could enter Radha Kund. The rest, they did not know also that there was a Radha Kund there, and they just went ahead. So, Prabhuji, what kind of things do we see in this?
Yeah, you can make a natural conclusion that perhaps they were not given a chance to have darshan of Radha Kund. They're not that fortunate. That's all. Don't take it too seriously. Don't think that those two Vaishnavas who could enter, now suddenly they'll get a Gopi Bhav. No, no. It's just that, those who could not enter, they were not that fortunate to
Hmm.
have darshan of Radha Kund. That's all. Simple.
So, Prabhuji, in spite of so much of propagation about Radha Kund and Radharani, only the fortunate ones can see her, na, Prabhuji?
Yeah, but that fortune is not very big fortune. Of course, it's a great fortune, but just to take darshan with these eyes is not something very, very great. It is great if you understand the greatness, but
Yes,
it's
correct.
not something very great.
Hmm.
Mm, right? If we have the consciousness, it is very great. If you don't have the consciousness, then what it is? It is nothing. And we should know, right? Any holy place, you need some kripa or qualification to enter into it. So entering into a holy place can also happen at different levels, right? One is geographically entering into that holy place. One is through the consciousness, spiritually entering into that holy place. Now, for spiritually entering into that holy place through the consciousness, you need qualification. Even geographically entering into that place, you need qualification. Mm. So someone cannot geographically also enter because that person is not qualified. But then, if someone got a qualification to enter geographically, that person should not now start thinking that I'm very fortunate because I got entry into geographical location of the yes. Fine. Like, for example, some may go to Jagannath Puri. Some people may want to go to Jagannath Puri, and some may be able to go, some may not be able to go. So those who could go, you can say they are very fortunate because they got entry into geographical location of Jagannath. Now, out of those who got entry into geographical location of Jagannath Puri, some got darshan of Jagannath, some did not get darshan of Jagannath. So then you can say those who got physical darshan of Jagannath, they are very fortunate. But then of those who got physical darshan of Jagannath, someone actually saw Jagannath. And that is real darshan, no? The essence, the final thing. So someone may come to Radha Kund fortunate, quite fortunate. But then not the highest fortune. Highest fortune is what we're discussing in these verses. That is highest fortune. Anjali Mataji, question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Bro, I don't have any question. I raised hand for reading. No?
So you read now next time Bhakti Rasamrita, Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Instruction is complete now. Vindarani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances. When it is said that elevated personalities like Narada, Sanaka, Sanatana, they cannot enter, they cannot take bet in Radhakund, I guess that they cannot take spiritual bet in
Yes.
Radhakund because it doesn't seem to be problem for Narada Muni to come geographically. Yes.
True.
Mm.
If we can go by Narad Muni Kul to geographical Radhakund, of course he can go.
Mm.
He will go, he will come back, no one will even notice, isn't it? So he can go. So basically it means to enter into that internal, the spiritual Radhakund. That that is not possible even for great personalities like Narada, Sanak, and Sanatan. That pastime we know, right, of Narad Muni wanting to enter into Krishna's pastimes, and then Narad Muni was told by the gopi, you can't in this form, Narada, you have to get the form of a gopi. And then in Kusum Sarovar, he was given a dip, and then he got a form, and then he got a name, Naradiya Gopi, right? So we know that. Then he got a chance in that form to somewhat participate in Krishna's pastimes. Mm. And then he got a dip again to get back the Narada form. Then after taking this dip in Kusum Sarovar, getting a body of a gopi for some time, witnessing Krishna's pastimes with gopis, then Narada went to his ashram and wrote a book called Narada Bhakti Sutra. Right. So in his ashram.
Thank you.
Radhika Devi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandatanam. So, Prabhuji, other than reciting the shloka, Yatha Radha Priya Vishnos, and maybe taking 4 parikramas and chanting over there, how else do we improve our consciousness? How else do we, elevate our consciousness? When we are at Radhakund, or also how else can we meditate on that?
We can meditate in these ways. That's all sufficient. Along with that, we have to also grow in our own sadhana, in our understanding of the Siddhanta, because these truths will unfold in our consciousness only as our consciousness becomes cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, right? It's just like, let's say you're watching a place through a window. So, at first, the window is very dirty, full of dust, thick layer of dust. So you don't see the place behind the window. Though someone is telling you that the place is very beautiful, because the window is very dirty, you don't see the place, isn't it? But then you clean the window a bit, so you may get a very hazy look of the place behind the window. Uh, So similarly, now what we are doing here is we are getting a hazy look of Radha Kund, or hazy look of what is Radha Kund, or hazy look of what it means to enter into Radha Kund. But why is it hazy? Because our conscience is still very unclean, dirty. So we have to, yes, meditate on Radha Kund, pray to Radha Kund, but simultaneously we have to also clean our consciousness. And that process is Cheto-darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam. Right. So the more that window will become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, then one day just what we are doing will allow us to see what is behind the window, across the window. We'll get a very clear vision of what is Radha Kund. Correct.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So it's like, we should know what are these scriptures. These scriptures are like creating a spark within us, creating a spark, giving us an aspiration. And then we have the sadhana process. So let's continue doing the sadhana nicely, serving the way we are serving Supreme Lord, Spiritual Master, Vaishnavas. And along with that, we do the study, the Swadhyay. And then by the mercy of Radha and Krishna and the Supreme Lord, the Vaishnavas, Guru, Gauranga, that window becomes cleaner and day by day, day by day, day by day, day by day, day by day. Okay, any other question? Some for awakening Krishna, Radha Bhav and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela is same or different? Yeah, it is very much. Uh, it is very much same. For awakening Krishna consciousness, Radha Kunda is important for those who has previous Sukriti. Yes, true. Sometimes these verses feel more like a mockery of our current situation, since these qualifications seem impossible to attain. Yeah, that is also true. But then it's not a mockery. Uh, it's not a mockery. Why is it a mockery? We have to know that we are quite far from it, but then the acharyas are merciful to give us a chance at least to uh, have a glimpse of the highest reality, the highest consciousness. The acharyas is only giving us a chance to look into it so that we can develop a lifetime. No, it may take many lifetimes. So, uh, so it's like, therefore, the good thing is what? The good thing is either we can use our consciousness to churn dirty subject matters, useless subject matters, or we can use our consciousness to churn such exalted subject matters. So the acharyas are only diverting us from nonsense material subject matters to these exciting and stimulating spiritual subject matters. That's all. But the acharyas also know that we all are not qualified for it. The acharyas also know that. Mm. Like for example, sometimes people will say, no, why Radha Krishna pastimes are given? It is given so that at least stop thinking of loving affairs of sinful people. Think of loving affair of Radha and Krishna. Change your subject matter of thinking or thought. Why? Not because you may in this lifetime be able to understand it. But it's like creating a spark within the soul consciousness. So our acharyas, they are just giving us. And as we make progress, we'll be able to utilize the knowledge given. Slowly, 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 slowly. Hmm. That is why Srila Saraswati Pad also established Radha and Shamakund and Giriraj and the Maltri and some of the pastime places in Sri Chaitanya Math, Mayapur. Yes, and also he had another purpose of doing that. Another reason of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to do such things was to prove that Mayapur is not different from India. Right? When acharyas they do something, there are multiple reasons because they want to substantiate the statements of the Vedas or the scriptures. So in scriptures it is mentioned Mayapur is not different from Vrindavan. So how do you show it to the world? Oh, we have Radha Kund in Mayapur, we have Sham Kund in Mayapur, we have Govardhan in Mayapur. So how is Mayapur different from Vrindavan? It is same. Srila Prabhupada said, all my temples, they are Vrindavan. Isn't it? Prabhupada said so, right? So then this is a statement made by Srila Prabhupada. So how did His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj show that? By making GEV. See, this is Prabhupada temple and this is Vrindavan. We have Shamkund, we have Radhakund, we have Govardhan, we have Barsana. So this is how you prove the statements or you substantiate the statements of the Acharyas. Okay. Prabhuji, if possible, please share the prayers of Radhakund in a group. It's in the book only, no? We just read that verse from the book, right? Nectar of instruction book. We just read that verse from, so it's there in the book. We stop here. All the best for the exam. The exam is not going to be so interesting as the subject matter of Radhakund, perhaps, but no problem. We have to study for the exam. And then after that week, we'll start the study of Nectar of Direction. Shri